you doing? I can do role quests now, so I'm gonna do them. I know, right? Yeah, here we go. I'm a little tired, but I got this. Oh, hello. Did Brooke Evu send you to help recover our stolen treasure? Thank the heavens, and judging by your accoutrements, you've learned in the arcane arts, yes? If so, we've need of your power and wisdom. Truth be told, it is wisdom that we require most. You see, even though the treasure has been guarded by our people for generations, we know little of its true nature. In ages past, the forests of Homeland were plagued with terrible beasts, a constant source of fear and danger. To combat this menace, our mages spent many moons researching the treasures known as the Perch of the Apex. Upon unlocking its secrets, they were able to drive the monsters from the woods, bringing peace at last. With the threat all but eradicated, our forebears forbade any further use of the treasure and enshrined it within the village. As the years passed by, we slowly forgot what it was to live in fear. Yet, as our struggles faded into memory, stories around the perch of the apex became legend, then myth. Now, none living are certain of its true power. Yet the peace was shattered by a member of the Passage of the Unbound. The villain wheeled his way into our trust, then stole upon my husband, the treasurer's appointed guardian, catching him unaware with a terrible blow that left him unconscious. He has yet to awaken, so my daughter Tepika has set forth to retrieve what was stolen. Unlike her father, she has no skill in the arcane arts and chose the path of the sword. That's why I've been seeking someone with the knowledge she lacks, should the ancient power be unleashed. Please, if you can find it in your heart to help Tepeki, I would be forever grateful. Consider it done. Oh, thank you. Now our only clue to the thief's whereabouts is from something he mentioned during his stay in the village. Excuse me. He spoke of his desire to bring change to a place called Razat Han. That is where Tepeki decided to begin her search, so she boarded a ferry bound there by way of Limsa Lamonza with her trusted sword and shield close at hand. That's how you'll know her. She agreed to stay in Razat Han to gather information until aid arrived. I know nothing of the place, but it's likely she can be found in the marketplace or some such. Please bring our treasure and my daughter safely home. Oh, it's right there. Oh, are you looking for me? Whatever, so whatsoever for. Yo, and you say my mother sent you. I take it she's already explained the details, such as how we know next to nothing of the treasure and its capabilities. We have only the legend passed down through our forebears to go on. They speak of a Terrell Vidriel of an owl that once terrorized the forest, whose soul is sealed within the perch of the apex. The tales have only become more vague as the mists of time obscure the treasure's origin. Even our village's eldest remembers not but an ominous warning uttered by those who once wielded its magics. The master of the apex shall be showered with good fortune, yet leave only sorrow in their wake. It's clear that despite owing their safety to the Apex's power, our forebears viewed it as something to be feared. It must truly be immense. Now on to the matter of the thief. Even during our brief acquaintance, he made plain his desire to bring change to Rats at hand. Naturally, I've started my search here and have been seeking anyone who expresses dissatisfaction with the status quo. Sure enough, I soon heard stories of a recent arrival, a self-styled savior of Rats at hand who proclaims that he will lead the city to greatness and calls himself the Stickler. He's apparently taken on the burden of personally exterminating the beasts which infest Thadmir's wilds. He made a great show of claiming he alone is equal to the task. While he certainly draws a crowd with his boasting, they only watch with morbid curiosity as he sets off into the jungles alone. I realize this could have nothing to do with our problem, but even the smallest lead must be pursued. I've heard he often gives his speeches at the region's smaller settlements. So, shall we go see this Stickler for ourselves? It's decided. I hear Yildimald would be a good place to start. Hopefully there we can find our next crumb of a clue. Oh, nice. You're looking for Stickler too? One of the soldiers just went after him. Yo, we're in luck. This boy saw the very man we seek. It seems he gave the same grand speech about saving the people, claiming that danger lurked nearby before venturing forth to combat it alone. Yet the Radiant host could not well stand idle if there truly were beasts afoot, so one of them followed him. All we need to do is pick up their trail. You ran towards the shroud, but you might be able to spot him from Gia's footsteps. You can see the whole forest from there. Thanks, you've been very helpful. So, yo, let's head there and see what we can see. Now then, let us begin our search. Since I've never actually seen the Justice car, I suggest we find the Radiant House first. They do all wear similar armor after all. Whatever it isn't moving anymore. Could it be one of the fiends the Justice Hero was after? Oh, there you are. That must be him. But what happened? We better get down there quickly. Not to worry, yo. He's unconscious, but otherwise appears unarmed. Harmed. What happened? We heard you came here in pursuit of the Justice car. Do you remember anything? Yes, I eventually found him. He was confronting that fiend and now lies dead. At last, the Justicar grazes rats at hand. I shall bring unending peace to this bleeding, belligerent land. You are brave to follow in my path. Few indeed possess the mettle to even consider the terrors which threaten our home, let alone stand against them. Yet, courageous though you may be, you are far too weak to fell a beast so mighty. Quit this place with your life while you are yet able. I am of the radiant host. If I ran from such meager prey, I would become a laughing stock. How bold to look death in the eye without flinching. I doubt not your conviction to defend Ratsat Han, yet I believe it pales before mine. O Apex, bestow upon me your divine might. Do you not heed my call? I require your power more than ever. Is something supposed to happen? Why? Am I yet unworthy? Or mayhap there is a button I must press. This is not what I expected. Stand aside, I'll dispose of this pest. Just give me a moment. I cannot end like this. It cannot end like this. I won't be made a fool. Come on, you moldy trinket, work. Transform me into the hero of Rats at Hand. He cast stone. He brandished the idol and became wraithed in mysterious light. Then boulders started falling from the sky. Down they came, one after the other. That's when I must have been struck unconscious. I recall only faintly, but I think I heard the man mumbling quite excitedly, as if he had come upon a sudden revelation, or as if he was overtaken by madness. It seems he got away unscathed. Either he had an incredible stroke of luck, or whatever he was beseeching to actually answered. Then it's as I suspected. This Justicar is the self-same thief who stole the perch of the apex. But no doubt he's long departed from here. First I'll escort this fellow back to Yildimarld and keep a close eye on him. Head wounds can have dreadful after effects. The soldiers made his way to Rats at Hand to make a formal report, and what an odd reporter will be. His account seemed to align with the legends of the treasure's power. The wielder escaped unarmed and brought ruin to those around him. Could those falling rocks have been a freak accident? I'm not so sure. You won't believe it. He came back. Who came back? The Justicar? Yes, not long after you left. He said he beat up a monster that knocked out a Radiant, and he was laughing his head off. Did he really do that? Is he really stronger than the Radiant? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Well, my mates can't stop talking about him. He wants to be just like the Justicar. His mom and dad weren't happy about that, though. I'd advise you and your friend look for a different role model. But we thank you for telling us what happened. Well, there is one less fiend skulking about. I suppose you may have been simply testing the treasure's capabilities, and as far as we know, he is yet to use its power to evil's ends. I find his motivations a mystery. To steal the perch of the apex by force, only to come here to Thavnir and use it for good. It makes no sense. You've heard tell of the passage of the unbound, yes? Many have ventured the Tololial, claiming to be their victims. Yet here they would be saviors. If he had such noble goals, then why did he stoop to such devious deception? What could he be plotting? But that's neither here nor there. He stole from my people, and that misdeed can't be forgiven. The perch of the apex helped us win peace. By its might, our forebearers built the foundation of the lives we now lead. Until recently, it stood silent, a symbol of our pride as people. It reminded us that we carved out a home within that inhospitable wilderness. Being trusted with its protection is a great honor. I was so proud of my father when the elders chose him, so proud to be his daughter. Yet since the day it was stolen, some of the other villagers made their disdain towards him only too clear. I couldn't bear it. That's why I must get it back, to restore my village's pride and my father's reputation. There's still so much we don't know about the Justicar, but we have to assume he's learned to wield the Apex's power. I can't say whether those falling rocks have anything to do with it, but I won't discount it outright. I'll continue looking into his whereabouts while we still have so many questions. With both of us working together, we'll find answers soon enough. Okay, keep it going. I'm afraid there have been some developments that are less than encouraging. News of the Justicar's actions have spread throughout the city, and with each retelling, his deeds become more valorous. The younger citizens in particular seem to view him as something of an idol. Despite the creatures he hunts posing no real danger, he would paint them as mighty beasts in need of felling. Of course, the Radiant hosts are far too busy to trouble themselves culling every pest that casts a sideways glance at the city gates. Yet the Justicar has twisted circumstances to his advantage. He proclaims to anyone who will listen to that the Radiant hosts shrink with terror right before these beasts, and that he's the only one who can eradicate them. Though you might expect such claims to be dismissed as wild ramblings, it seems no few people have fallen for his ploy. The whispers of his exploits among the youth have practically grown into a clamor. Yet we mustn't be discouraged, for his increasing fame only makes it easier for us to sniff out his trail. And where better to start than rats at hand. I'll see you there, yo. Given how large the city is let's split up to cover more ground. I already have a destination in mind, the High Crucible. I heard the alchemist there can consort all manner of tinctures and powders, including those which help in detecting traces of energies left behind by magics and enchanted tools. Fallen rocks have invariably marked locations where the Justicar has performed one of his feats, and I believe an alchemical mixture can help us determine if their presence is the work of the treasurer. I'm hardly an expert in such concoctions, though, so I'll seek advice at the High Crucible. While I'm doing that, I would ask that you go to the Hall of the Radiant Host and see if any new information on the Justicar's whereabouts. See if they have any new information on the Justicar's whereabouts. Now, does that plan sound agreeable to you? Great. Now that we both have our tasks, let's get to them. I'll meet you back here once my business is done. I'm tired of hearing about this Justicar. His popularity among the city's younglings is quickly becoming a cause for concern. Try as we might to refute his claims that the Radiant hosts are allowing monstrous beasts to run amok unchecked. You know how young minds are, impressionable and difficult to change, once said. We initially discarded him as a boastful eccentric, but his alarming sway over the populace can no longer be ignored. We are at present considering whether to open a formal investigation into his activities. You and this ally of yours have done well in your search thus far, yet you even have a working theory about the foaming stones. Quite impressive. Several of our number have encountered him during their patrols, only to lose sight of him under a hail of rocks. Such incidents have become all too frequent, and many in our ranks demand we act. For now, I'm afraid this is all the help I can offer. Please share what I've told you with your companion, and together we may yet amass this Justicar. It's heartening to know that the Radiant hosts are taking this seriously. Thank you for speaking with them, Yo. I have good tidings as well. I explained the situation to the alchemists, and they provided a powder that should help detect traces of magic in the surrounding environment. I say help because the powder reacts only faintly on its own. To function properly, it requires the skills of one practiced in the arcane arts. Luckily, I have you. I've committed the locations of all sightings to the Justicar to memory, and the closest to us was at the perfumed rise. Let's hope this powder works as intended. The Justicar was sighted near here, and I didn't see any other conspicuous stones around, so I sprinkled the powder over this stone. Now concentrate your focus or inner eye, or whatever it is that's the locus of your power, and see if you can't detect any unnatural forces. That is cool. So, were you able to detect anything? I knew you could do it. So, because there were no crystals in the rock, the energy you detected must be the remnants of some kind of spell. Is that right? And taking the story of the Radiant we rescued previously into account, we can conclude that the Justicar uses the treasure to call those stones down from the sky. At least we know We now have an inkling of its true nature. Even so, not every question has been answered. The Radiant told us that even as the Justicar stood before the creature, he seemed to have trouble calling forth the Apex's power at first. My father once said that the perch of the Apex is much like the wand he used to weave his magics. Of course, the main difference between them and this unique nature of the essence stored with the main difference between them is the unique nature of the essence stored within the treasure. I know little of such arcane instruments, but you must be quite familiar with them. How do you use yours? I'm a pictomancer, so I rely on sheer willpower. I see. If determination and intent are what's required, I dare say the Justicar has his share, if little else. Even with all his fervent yelling, it took a while for the rocks to appear from the sky. I suppose the perch of the apex possessed some unique method of activation. When I spoke to the representative of the other tribes about their treasures, no one mentioned special techniques being required, not that relics should have much in common to begin with. You two, did you see an Ari girl pass through here by yourself? I'm afraid not. What happened? Wait, I recognize you both. You're the hero of the final days and a recent visitor from Terrell. Apologies for the imposition, but may I beg your assistance? It's all that Justicar's fault. The girl said she was off to join that fool's crusade and ran out of Yildimal before anyone could stop her. Her mother begged us to find her, but if she's following the Justicar, she could be anywhere. You see, he's been sighted at locations scattered all over Thabnir. We can't just stand here looking at rocks while a girl is in danger, especially if the Justicar is involved. We have to help. That'd be much appreciated. We're searching places where the Justicar has been spotted before, so perhaps you could start where he hasn't been seen. Good idea. As far as I know, he hasn't been sighted at the northern shores. Come on, yo. I don't see her anywhere. I hope she's safe. Oh. There are more pressing matters at hand. I hear I heard fighting, so I came as fast as I could. It's a good thing you arrived in time to save the girl. Thank you, miss. Thank you. I'm glad you're safe, but your mother must be worried sick. You shouldn't wander off like that, especially not to look for a trickster like the Justicar. What, you mean he's a bad man? Yes, exactly. He stole an important treasure from my village and now he's using it to make himself look brave. But he needs it to kill the monsters, to protect us. That's no excuse for stealing. He might have fooled your younglings, but the Radiant hosts know what he's up to. But he said he'd save us from the monster. He's our hero. The Radiant said we shouldn't be scared, but we all know the Justicar is the one who keeps us safe. We don't need the Radiant anymore. No hero can save the world alone. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say bad things about the Radiant. They protected everyone in the final days. I guess I forgot how much they care about us. I'm sorry too. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that after all you've been through. You said the Justicar is a thief and a trickster, but I hope it's not true. He's my hero. Well, I'd best escort her back to Yildimal. I'll meet you there later, Rio. The girl and her mother are reunited, and I think we can both give ourselves a pat on the back. They're on their way now to inform the Radiant host that all is well. I would like to apologize for before I let my emotions get the better of me and har- har- Harringered that poor girl when she was hardly to blame for anything. I really should have been scolding myself. Yo, there's something I neglected to tell you before. The man who now calls himself the Justicar came to us in the guise of a worldly merchant. He was eager to ask about the perch of the apex. And its history, and I was equally eager to tell him, not even considering what he might do with the information. I'm so proud of my father for being appointed as its guardian. I suppose I was trying to impress this stranger out of sheer vanity. That vanity led to my father being attacked and the treasure being stolen from under our noses. I have no choice but to make amends for my mistake and bring it back. Yet some are convinced that the Justicar's acts are only to serve the greater good. I couldn't accept that he might not be as rotten as I thought and lashed out at the wrong person. From now on, I can't let my emotions cloud my judgment. I must remain calm and look at the facts for what they are. And the facts say that the Justicar has done no harm to the people of Thavnir. Even so, the organization he serves, the Passage of the Unbound, is evil to its very core. If his actions at my village are not villainy, I don't know what is. The situation is fraught with contradictions. I still don't know what to think. What about you, yo? There are still too many unanswered questions. I agree. He speaks of justice and heroism with great bluster, yet there's something we're missing. Thank you, Yo, for your wise words. I sometimes find it difficult to keep my heart from skewing my perspective, so I'm grateful that you're here to help me see clearly. So it seems our objective is unchanged. We track down the man who stole my people's sacred treasure, whatever his intentions may be. Unraveling them comes secondary to finding the man himself. I'll continue to pour my effort into the search, so stop by from time to time and I may have something new to share with you. I got time for one more. Yeah. Okay. Yo, I hope you've been well. Since last we spoke, the Justicar has been busy felling fiends all across Thavnir, leaving a trail of witnesses behind in his wake. More than a few have reported seeing stones falling from the sky, which all but confirms our theory that the treasure is causing the phenomenon. This story shared one peculiar commonality. It seems the pests he hunts have all been of the seedkin variety. Why he avoids beasts of flesh and blood is yet a mystery. It bears mentioning that each of these eyewitnesses' accounts came from people who were rescued by the Justicar, who invariably appears just as these creatures attack. In fact, the Justicar has been there to save the day in every single instance of seedkin-related mischief. Awfully suspicious if you ask me, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. Some among the Radiant hosts have suggested that the Justicar is planning these assaults somehow, so he alone can reap the glory from thwarting them. I agree, and I think this should be our next avenue of investigation. Many of these incidents occurred near the giant skull grounds, so we should start our search there. If we can find one of these monsters' plants before it finds hapless prey, we may be able to shed light upon the just Icarus methods. Time is of the essence, so let's leave at once. A returner. Any moving bushes, slithering vines? Not here in any case. Yo, I'll search the western path. Why don't you search the east? If you see something, don't strike to kill. Weaken it, then capture it with this rope. We'll learn more from a live specimen. I see plenty of fauna roaming about, but the flora all seem to be of the rooted to the ground variety. Perhaps my hunch was incorrect. We found one. In fact, this is exactly as an eyewitness described. Why don't you keep it for the time being? Bring it to the Great Work and I'll ask my acquaintances there to examine it with all haste. The alchemist I had spoke briefly of last time was here. Give her the little seeding you caught and we'll see what she makes of it. Mistress Tepeke told me what to expect. Well then, let's see the thing. Oh, I didn't expect it to be so diminutive. If Mistress Tepeke's intuition is correct, then I expect some interesting discoveries are in store. You've been you've brought me quite the fascinating specimen indeed. I can say for certain that this creature's growth isn't natural in the slightest. Biologically, it's still but a sapling, as you can tell by its size. Yet it is the result of a specific alchemical mixture which is used to spur the growth of seeds in any mycelium to an unnatural degree. The agents have a side effect of making the creatures more aggressive, which explains why such a small specimen would so boldly attack beings larger than itself. Yet the solution requires ingredients most rare, and the cost of procuring enough to synthesize it would be beyond the means of most. So wherever is behind this, they are likely well heeled. As for the creatures themselves, if they were all grown artificially, perhaps that explains why most of the incidents involve small seed pen. Rather than wait for them to mature naturally, the Justicar must have accelerated their growth so that he could deploy huge numbers over a short span of time. In fact, his plan likely requires they be small, weak foes in order to guarantee his victory. After all, the great Justicar can hardly be expected to bear the blemish of a defeat. With these new details brought to light, it's almost certain he's staging these attacks on the common folk. Now we have a new perspective to guide our search. Perhaps you should return to Yildimald. I hear Justicar is the talk of the village and they doubtless have stories to share. A splendid idea. Thank you for your findings. You have brought us one step closer to unmasking that villain. Let's hurry to Yildimald. The more accounts we have of the Justicar, the better our chances of predicting his next move. Rest assured, the Radiant hosts are well aware of the Justicar. Every day we receive more reports of him combating beasts in the surrounding wilderness. These encounters are never well-traveled roads, it seems. They occur in remote regions that we scarcely patrol, along routes that are only used by a small number of merchants and porters. We've concluded that the Justicar either has uncommon knowledge of the behavioral patterns of these creatures, or that he keeps close company with a merchant who travels those obscure paths. Oh, you're hungry to learn more of the Justicar. He's amazing. I was lucky enough to catch a glimpse of him on the road leading here, facing down a fearsome creature. I don't know how he did it, but he called down rocks from the sky to knock that thing flat. The Radiant hosts were away on patrol, so if he hadn't come to our rescue, that brute would have marched right into our homes. He shouted that he was the savior of rats at hand, and even waved at me. Oh, he looked so impressive with the sun shining behind him. Eh, don't tell me you've come chasing that half-baked savior. The younglings might be taken in by his honeyed words, but anyone with experience can see that he's nothing but a charlatan, and I have a story to prove it. A merchant I know took a tumble as he was transporting his goods. Not long after comes the Justicar, looking chivalrous as you please in his shining armor. But did he offer a helping hand? No, he ran off, nary a glance backwards. He may go on about slaying beasts, but a real hero would never ignore someone in need, even if they were just suffering from scraped knees and a bruised ego. Yo, do you have a moment? I'm having a little trouble here. I sought this merchant out because I was told he dealt with the alchemist in the great work. I thought he might know something about the Justicar, but when I asked, he's been like this ever since. Apologies, I was just surprised that he would ask me about that madman. What connection could he possibly have with me? The fiends he fights are grown with rare alchemical materials, and we think he may be staging these encounters. Since you deal in such wares, I wondered if you might know how he came into their possession. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never spoken to that man. I very much doubt that. Perhaps he'll be more receptive to questioning from you, Yell. Spit it out. You're working for him. You dare accuse me? Why, how am I to know that you aren't the one in league with Virzian? Varzia. Varazian? You said? Who is that, may I ask? Huh? What did I... No, that's my name. I'd be a fool to continue this charade any longer. My son Virshan is the one you know as the Justicar. To be suddenly confronted with his litany of misdeeds, I quite lost my composure. You're his father? Then do you know how he came into possession of such rare materials and knowledge? Aye, he stole them from me, my most valuable materials and my precious maps. Yet I was the one who chose to hide that fact, and I bear the blame for the consequences. What can you tell us about him as a person? Farsan was obsessed with tales of legendary heroes, even from a young age. I paid a great deal of money to have him tutored in the art of the bow. He became quite skilled at it, in fact, but not quite as skilled as his arrogance led him to believe. Due to this, and perhaps a lack of ambition, he never aspired to true greatness. Instead, he came to rely upon fanciful equipment and exotic potions rather than honing what skill he had. It pained me to see him fall into dissoluteness, but he would brook no counsel. So several years ago, I gave him enough coin to support his lavish lifestyle and told him never to speak with me again. He didn't until but recently when he darkened my doorstep once more. And that was when he stole your goods. Although I would have willingly given them if he had asked, but he was rambling about almost incoherently, saying that his heroic deeds as the Justicar had caught the eye of someone named Apia, leader of the Passage of the Unbound, whoever they are. He claimed that under the guidance of his newfound allies, he had obtained a great power enough to eclipse all heroes who have come before and shall come after, as he put it. It seems he gives what money he still has to these people. To think that for all his fanciful words, he has only deigned to grasp at hollow glory, all at the expense that rides at hand. There is no greater shame as a father. Given what we know of this shadowy group, they most likely aim to sow discontent throughout Sam's deeds. He may be so blinded by his own desire for adoration that he can't see whose hands are pulling his strings. You're saying that he's being used. If that's true, then I can no longer remain silent. Despite what shame it may bring, I see now that sharing my story might be the only way to save my son. Indeed, I suggest you tell the Radiant Host at once. Of course, we'll be pouring our every effort into stopping him. Thank you for giving me direction. I didn't imagine our meeting would end this way. Truth be told, I'm not entirely unsympathetic towards Farson. I basked in my father's reflected glory while having none of my own to speak of. The glory Rasan seeks is similarly false. I too shall visit the Radiant Host and have them spread word of the Justicar's true nature. If the people are wise to his trickery, they will be far more likely to aid us. We will soon learn that a legend built on lies is no match for true heroism. Okay. That's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.